Things are different now. You may have gone in one way, but you've come out on the other side. And the other side looks completely different than how you went in. God has done things in you and he's made you a new person. And because of it, things are different now. It won't be the same. And you've allowed God to work on you and to leave those old things in the grave, to leave those old things in the tomb. And because of it, things are different. Things that you see from this point on will not look like how they looked before. This is a new season for you. This is a new lifestyle for you. It's a new time. So I pray that you listen to this video. I posted this probably about 2 years ago, but I pray that this video encourages you in the new place that you're in the new place that God has placed you in. And enjoy this new lifestyle. Enjoy this new place that God has put you in, because it's different than it was before.
Hi, Heart Fam. I pray that you are thriving in the things of Jesus, and I pray that you are living God's best life for you. I am coming on with a word to share with you. And today's word is titled, Leave It in the Tomb. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. We're going to hop right into this. But today's word, the foundation scriptures are from Matthew 27 and Matthew 28. Now, bear with me. There are quite a few scriptures. I'm going to just bounce around and pick several scriptures to read. I will also post the scriptures in the description if you want to go back and read the scriptures as well. But let's go ahead and start, and let's jump into this chat. Leave it in the tomb. And as I'm reading these scriptures, I want you to just visualize. Now, the scriptures are talking about the leading up to the crucifixion of Christ, and we will also touch on the resurrection of Christ as well. So as I'm reading this, it may be, we all know when you hear of the great sacrifice that Jesus made for us, it is a very it can be very touchy. It can also be very graphic because we know what he went through. And when you think about it, he did all of that for us. What a sacrifice. But let's go ahead and let's hop into this word. Leave it in the tomb. So we're going to start with Matthew chapter 27, and we're going to start from chapters 26 through 31. And I'm reading from the Passion Translation. So Matthew 27, starting at verse 26. So he released Barabbas to the people. He ordered that Jesus be beaten with a whip of leather straps embedded with metal, and afterward be crucified. Then the guards took him into the military compound, where a detachment of nearly 600 soldiers surrounded him. They stripped off his clothing and placed a scarlet robe on him to make fun of him. Then they braided a crown of thorns and forcefully shoved it onto his head. After placing a reed staff in his right hand, they knelt down before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." Then they spat in his face and took the reed staff from his hand and hit him repeatedly on his head, driving the crown of thorns deeper. When they finished ridiculing him, they took off the scarlet robe and put his own clothes back on him and led him to be crucified. I'm going to skip down to verses 35 through 37. Then they crucified Jesus, nailing his hands and feet to the cross. The soldiers divided his clothing among themselves by rolling dice to see who would win them. And the soldiers stood there to watch what would happen and to keep guard over him. Above his head, they placed a sign that read, "This is Jesus of Nazareth, King of Israel." Verses 41 through 44. Even the ruling priest, with the Jewish scholars and religious leaders, joined in the mockery and kept on saying, "He saved others, but he can't even save himself. Israel's king, is he? He should pull out the nails and come down from the cross right now. Then we'll believe him. He puts his trust in God. So let's see if it's true and see if God really wants to rescue him. For he said, 'I'm the Son of God.'" Even the two criminals who were crucified with Jesus began to taunt him, hurling their insults on him. Skipping down to 47 through 50. Some who were standing near the cross misunderstood and said, "He's calling Elijah." One bystander ran and got a sponge, soaked it with sour wine, then put it on a stick and held it up for Jesus to drink. But the rest said, "Leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to rescue him." Jesus passionately cried out, took his last breath, and gave up his spirit. Now I'm going to switch over quickly to Matthew 28 verses 1 through 6. After the Sabbath, now we're going into after Jesus was crucified and leading to the resurrection. So after the Sabbath ended, at the first light of dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to take a look at the tomb. Suddenly, the earth shook violently beneath their feet as the angel of Yahweh descended from heaven. Lightning flashed around him, and his robe was dazzling white. The guards were stunned and terrified, lying motionless like dead men. Then the angel walked up to the tomb, rolled away the stone, and sat on top of it. The women were breathless and terrified until the angel said to them, "There's no reason to be afraid. I know you're here looking for Jesus who was crucified. He isn't here. He has risen victoriously, just as he said." Heart fam, leave it in the tomb. I want you to ask yourself, what do you need to leave in the tomb? Think about it. What in your life needs to be left in the tomb? Jesus was beaten with a whip of leather straps embedded with metal. He was stripped of his clothing and then dressed with a scarlet robe as a way of being made fun of. A crown of thorns was placed and pressed on his head. He was spat on. His feet and his hands were nailed to the cross. Jesus was taunted, ridiculed, and mocked publicly. Jesus was at a place where others were hurting him with their words and hurting him with their actions. Imagine the condition of Jesus' body after taking all of that abuse. Deep gashes in his flesh, piercings in his side, punctures to his head from the crown of thorns, holes in both of his hands, holes in his feet, bloodied and bruised. What Jesus experienced was past torture. We can't even imagine what he felt when he went through the crucifixion. After Jesus said his last words and the soldiers removed his beaten, bruised, and bloodied body from the cross, I want you to think about what his body looked like after taking on all of those beatings, all of those lashes, what his body looked like. Could it even be recognized? So in Matthew 27, verses 57 through 59, it speaks of Joseph, who was one of Jesus' followers. After Jesus was let down from the cross, Joseph approached Pilate and asked Pilate if he could have custody of Jesus' body. So Pilate consented, and he ordered that Joseph could take Jesus' body. So Joseph wrapped Jesus' body in fine linen. Can you imagine what that looked like? Jesus' body, tortured, beaten, bloodied, bruised. And they take this fine linen and they wrap his body in fine linen. I can only imagine. His body was so bloodied that I'm sure, and I know this is graphic, but to give you an understanding of what he took for you, what he took for me. His body was bloodied, and they took the linen and they wrapped his body. Can you imagine? His body was so bruised and bloody that the blood probably seeped through the fine linen. They placed his beaten, bruised, and bloody body in the tomb and rolled a stone in front of the tomb. The last memories, the last hours that people remembered Jesus, the last time they saw him, beaten, bloodied, and bruised, and placed in a tomb. That's how he left. A few days later, Mary Magdalene and Martha and the other Mary went to the tomb. As they approached the tomb, we know what happened. The earth shook and an angel descended from heaven. And the angel walked up to the tomb and rolls away the tomb. Now, rolls away the stone. So this particular stone had been sealed. And once the angel was able to roll the stone, the angel sits on top of the stone. And both Mary Magdalene and the other Mary and the soldiers who were guarding the tomb were terrified. The angel says to Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, he says to both Marys, "There's no reason to be afraid. I know you're here looking for Jesus who was crucified, but he isn't here. He has risen victoriously, just as he said." Jesus went in the tomb one way. He went in bloodied. He went in bruised. And he came out another way. He went in lifeless. He went in with markings all over his body from scars and pains inflicted by others. But he came out victorious. But he came back. But he rose just like he said he would. He went in one way, Heart Fam, and he came out another. My question to you: what has marked you? What has scarred you? What has pained you so that you need to leave in the tomb? What has pained you to the point where you need to leave it in and come out another way? What has pierced you to the point you feel like you have been left for dead, bloodied, and bruised, lifeless. Maybe it's a failed relationship. Maybe it's the loss of a loved one. Maybe it's poor decision making, abuse, heartbreak, people taking advantage of you, people judging you by your decisions, absence of a parent, lack of love as a child, harsh words spoken to you or over you by another person. What do you need to leave in the tomb? Here's the thing. The Pharisees said they did not believe that Jesus would rise from the dead. They mocked him, they taunted him, they ridiculed him. And they put on as if they were 100% sure that he wouldn't come back. He was dead. He was gone. That was the end. However, there was a small amount of something going on in their mind. There was just an inkling in their minds that had them request that Pilate seal the tomb. So if they were 100% sure that Jesus was not going to come back, they wouldn't have even bothered. It would have been a done deal. But they requested that Pilate seal the tomb. So Pilate, he consented and ordered that the tomb be sealed. The stone be rolled in front and sealed. And he also put guards in front of the tomb just to make sure that nothing would happen. There are people who have written you off and left you lifeless, bloodied, and bruised. Just like they thought Jesus would be. They thought he would be lifeless. They thought that was the end. They really didn't think he was gonna rise like he said he would. But there was that ounce of doubt. That what if he does? If he does, we'll seal the tomb. Just like the Pharisees questioned Jesus' ability to come back from the beating he took leading up to his last words. The people who have written you off, who have marked you and inflicted pain, you know what? Just like the Pharisees, those people also have a small inkling that you may just come back. My words to you, come back. Come back. Leave it in the tomb, whatever it is. Leave it in the tomb and come back to life. Just like Jesus came back in spirit, leaving the image of the beaten, the bloodied, and the bruised Jesus in the tomb. So can you. You can leave that beaten, that lifeless, that bloodied version of you, that version of you that has been inflicted with pain by others, that version of you that has been spoken, that people have spoken things over your life that will not cause you to succeed and that has held you back from moving forward. Leave it in the tomb. Leave it in the tomb. Heart fam, just like Jesus, leave it in the tomb and come back to life. Shock them. Come back to life. Leave it in the tomb. Heart fam, I love you all, and I pray that this encouraged someone to no matter what it is people have said, they've done, and maybe you've even just thought things about yourself. It may not be others that have done things to you, but just the way you see yourself or how you feel about yourself. Leave it in the tomb and come back a new you. Come back and start a new life. I love you, Heart Fam. And until next chat, until our next word, be blessed.